The Global Latin Factor Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Global Latin Factor Podcast. The Global Latin Factor Podcast, the one place where you can find all your information regarding to Latinos contributing to the world, all the contributions that came from Latin America, every single Latino culture we're going to touch on. And this is going to be your one-stop place where you can find information about different things from food, music, and anything that you can think of as far as your everyday life. There's most likely some kind of Latino contribution that we have. And we're gonna tell you all about it here at the Latin Factor, the Global Latin Factor. And today we are celebrating Women's International Day. Is it Women's International Day or Women's World Day? Which one is that one today? Okay, International. Women's International Day today. And we're bringing you a very powerful Latina, Dr. Ellen Ochoa. She's from Mexican descent. Did a lot of research on her, finding out everything that I could, and some of the more interesting things that I found out about her. So you know how we're here in the Global Latin Factor, we're trying to bring awareness to all the Latinos that made contributions, especially on the individual level, right? Because a lot of the times when you're growing up, depending on the area that you're from, you might not see any kind of influence or somebody to look up, like a role model, right? So if you've never seen, and again, everybody's mind works different, but to me, a lot of the things that I did in my life was if I can see somebody do it or done it before, then most likely it gave me like, I don't know, some kind of sense deep inside me that I might be able to go ahead and do it too, right? So she really didn't think she would be an astronaut. It wasn't her goal. It wasn't something that she imagined. But whenever she saw Sally Ride, the first woman to ever make it to space and get to that level, and she realized that you can get there, you know, it did do something for her in her life eventually. So she was born, Dr. Ochoa was born on May 10th in 1958. She's 62 years old. She graduated from Grossmount High School, attended San Diego State University, and she also went to Stanford. She was born in Los Angeles, California. That's right. Her grandparents immigrated from Sonora, Mexico to Arizona, and later on, they moved to California, and that is where she grew up in La Mesa, California. That's where she grew up. Now, okay, they have her listed as the first Hispanic woman to make it to space. But technically, she doesn't speak Spanish. So, by the definition of which again, I know that, you know, Latino, Hispanic is just something that they put on the census to differentiate, make difference as far as what is what. But at the end of the day, she doesn't know Spanish, doesn't speak Spanish. So technically, she falls under the Latino. To me, she falls under being a Latino, the first Latina to make it to space, because she doesn't know Spanish, and it's not because she didn't want to. So back in the days, you know, for Latinos in California especially, there was a lot of racism. And her dad actually discouraged her from actually learning Spanish or knowing Spanish or practicing Spanish. She was a lighter Mexicana, lighter color. Her eyes were light. But at the same time, you know, we're talking about days when, like, the Latinos were not allowed on public pools, maybe towards the end before they cleaned the pools, because they thought that they were going to dirty the pools. You know what I mean? Things like that. That's the kind of a life that she lived. So I'm pretty sure that she wanted to go ahead and learn her language. And I see why her dad didn't encourage her to learn or discourage her to learn Spanish, for the same reason that she didn't want her to be bullied, picked on, or you know, different things that the way that happened back when she was growing up. So she was selected by NASA in 1990 to be the first Latina astronaut. In 1991 is when she made it. Now, so I saw a lot of interviews about everything that she had to go through. Again, after she got her doctorate, that's when she really began to take an interest. Before then, she played the flute. So that's mostly the things that she focused on, and technology and going to school. Once she got her doctorate, that's when she decided to put her application in to become an astronaut. Now, at first, try, you don't succeed, then you try and try again, right? A lot of things happen whenever you persistent about what you want. So she put in her application the first time, they didn't accept her. So it's easy to say whenever something doesn't go your way to be like, you know what, it didn't happen for me. I just, it's not gonna be a thing. Especially being a woman, especially at that time, still being a male-dominated area. Whether the first woman made it to space or not, she still is just a Latina, not only a female, she's a Latina female. And she could be discouraged and say, you know what, I put it in, I gave it a shot, I tried to be an astronaut. It didn't happen for me. Let's go ahead and move on. But nope, she stayed, continued renewing her application. She actually made it to NASA in a research program. So she went into work for NASA even after she was turned down to be an astronaut for the astronaut program. And then 3 years later, eventually she was accepted to be one. So imagine the things that sometimes we go through life as far as like giving it a try one time and then just giving up and not trying again. What would have happened if she would not continue doing the things that she's doing? She would never made it to space, So it speaks volumes. Dice mucho cuando te dicen no, seguir insistiendo. When they tell you no, to continue to insist if that's what you really want to do. And one of the things that she credits her mom, and I've seen it in a couple of books that in interviews, is that her mom always told her, if you work hard enough, your dreams will come true. If you work hard enough, your dreams will come true. And she was a firm believer on it, especially getting a doctorate. You have to put in a lot of school. And when she gave an example of how is it to train to be an astronaut, where does it go? What is included? What does it entail? What happens? Oh, it's almost like going to school, she said. You put in the work, you get tested. Sometimes you test yourself. Sometimes you got to test. They test you, and then you just got to, put in work. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't easy. Think about it. You got to go to space. You have to go to space eventually. You have to learn different things that you never done before. How to eat, continue to exercise. So, your muscles, and I've never been to space, but everything, all this information, what I gather, you got to exercise. You got to eat a certain way. Everything, pretty much everything that you do regularly here on Earth is not the same. So you have to, all that work you have to do, adapt. And not to mention all the things that you have to just learn how things work to be able to be out there. So again, she was selected. Ellen Ochoa received her master's in science doctrine at Stanford University. So that's where she got her doctorate, and that's where she made the decision. A mission specialist in flight engineer, Ochoa is a veteran of 4 space flights, logging in more than 950 hours in space. 950 hours in space. Can you, Leo, can you go ahead and tell me how many days is that? 950 hours. How many days, months, years is that? I can't really think right now for that part. Ochoa has received numerous awards, including NASA's Exceptional Service Medal in 1997, Outstanding Leadership Medal in 1995, and Space Flight Medals in 2002, 2099, 1994, and 1993. Besides being a researcher, astronaut, she's also an engineer and an inventor, and of course, a classical flutist. What's up? 39.5 days? 39.5 days in space. Some of you can't be out of your house for more than a week. Imagine being in space for a whole month. That's a lot. Her and her husband live in Texas. She's also, again, holds 3 patents for optical systems, and has several technical program documents that she have contributed. She's also an outspoken advocate for girls and mentoring entering STEM. If you don't know what STEM is, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So for these fields, even in her time, there was not a lot of females that were encouraged to. Even whenever she told her one of the interviews or one of the videos I saw is that she told her professor, one of her professors told her, well, this is a male like area, this is a male ran, industry. Like men are the ones that go to space, not women. And she goes, okay, well, if I can't go to space, then I'll just work on the things that they work. I work on the spaceships, right? I'll do all that. Well, that's also something that men do. It's not something that females do. And then because of that, it just, she was persistent, continue. She's going to prove them wrong regardless or not. And she went in. And till this day, Ellen has several 8K grade books written about her and has been profiled in textbooks, websites, 6 schools across California, Oklahoma, Washington, and Texas bear her name for that same reason. And she continues to talk about different things as far as what she knows, what she contributes, her experience. And one of the interviews that I saw about her as far as, what it's like, or because everybody wants to name her as the first person to be, in this board member, the first female Latina astronaut, the first this, the first that. And then she goes, you know what, after a while, it falls off. But at the end of the day, whenever we were doing the missions, all my colleagues, they just wanted to make sure that I was able to do the mission. They didn't care if I was this, if I was that. They care if I had their back whenever we were doing this. And it feels related whenever you're like, I'm a veteran, so I've been in the military before. And after a while, you get that same sense, because at the end of the day, sometimes you just want to make sure that you don't care what color, what size, whatever. You just care that your fellow battle buddy, your soldier has your back, just like you got theirs, And this is the same feeling that I got, because, and you can see how astronauts stay friends for years, because for the same reason that you just don't care what you look like, whatever it is that you are, as long as you are able to go ahead and do the work that you needed to. Okay, so that way, you can come back. You're talking about going to space. I do highly recommend, if you watch, it's mostly like a kid type, guided video, but it is on YouTube. It's called The Astronaut with the Song for the Stars. Oh, and one other thing about her, she when she was in space, she played the flute when she was over there. I don't know if she was one of the first ones to do it, but I thought it was pretty cool that her passion for playing the flute, along with being in space. And you just picture this, just being out on a spaceship, and let's say you enjoy playing an instrument, and you're just playing your flute and just staring into space and seeing Earth from another, that it is round, from another angle, and just imagine the heightness of your human existence, to feel like she came from immigrant parents, her grandparents, trying to get a better life, and then she came into this place, and now, she continued to do the work, and now, I'm not saying this is the climax of her life, but what can be the highest point of you doing something that you truly love, which is playing the flute, along with something that you felt passionate about, to put the work and the hours in, and just be playing the flute, playing just whatever song it is, something classical, just to be like, wow, I'm really here. I really made it. So I highly recommend to watch that video on YouTube. It's called The Astronaut with the Song for the Stars. It kind of gives you a better sense of just real simple. And again, I think it's more geared to kids, but I really like the way that they were reading the book and telling the story about her, how her struggles, how the way that the racist battle, how her mom told, because of this, and her dad, they knew that they have to raise strong kids, because things were not going to be easy, especially being a Latino in that time. And she made it happen. So big shout out going out to all females. I serve in the military, and whenever I was in the military, and actually I was deployed, and I saw this one battle buddy of mine. She was a female, and she was on the 50 cal, going outside. We call it outside the wire, to do whatever she was doing, carrying out whatever mission she was doing, and a lot of the times we forget how strong women are, how a lot of the times we want to make it seem like they're not, just like Latinos, just like every single person. We're just human, and they're just as capable, or not even, sometimes stronger than, sometimes even stronger than a dude, and sometimes we don't want to give credit for. Yeah, physically, sometimes maybe we might be outpowered, but it doesn't mean they're not just as capable. So salute to all the ladies doing, believing in yourself, contributing to be, doing whatever it is that you do, just like Dr. Ellen Ochoa, making it all the way to space to get to play the flute and just, enjoying, not giving up. Because even after they told her, no, we're not going to accept you, we're going to pass on you, she went ahead and even became a pilot during that time, learned how to fly. Instead of being discouraged, she continued to work. And eventually, sometimes it doesn't make sense when you're there looking forward, but when then you look back, everything just, all the pieces fell into place as far as what she needed to do. And then eventually she became an astronaut, the first Latina to ever do it. And again, big shout out going out to all the women in the world. Continue doing what you do. Continue striving to be a better person, a better human being, and contributing to this. And if you're a Latina, again, we as Latinos contribute everything. We've done different episodes all the way from the tortilla to tacos. Taco Tuesday wouldn't be possible without Latinos, Mexicanos especially, and everything else in between. And I guarantee you some of the things you'll be surprised, from saving the world like Mr. Molina did to everything. We're a little bit of everything. And that's what I'm saying about the global Latin factor. We have contributed as Latino and the Latino community to different aspects of everything. We're talking about politics. We're talking about food. We're talking about music like Despacito. We're talking about, you name it, the economy, billions of dollars, trillions of dollars by the Latino community contributed to the world. And everything else in between, that's what we talk about right here at the Global Latin Factor. This is a little bit of a topic that I am not very familiar with. I'm going to be very honest. Okay, so here's another stereotype that I think that is, it's a stereotype, first of all. So a lot of the stereotype is whatever you make it. So to me, it seems like whenever you look at somebody, right, you're looking at them through your lenses and you're making the determination in your mind of whatever you are seeing, So if you're making a stereotype about Latinos, you're just making that in your mind, you're processing through and you're filtering it out, and that's what you're seeing. But at the end of the day, every Latino doesn't know how to dance. There is a very common, like, you can say not common knowledge, but a common thought that every Latino knows how to dance, but a lot of them don't. And I'm not one of the biggest dancers. I can get down with a little rhythm, but it doesn't mean that I know how to dance very well. Not like this guy, Fernando Bujones, or Bujones, como le dicen en inglés. Fernando Bujones was a ballet dancer, was born in March 9th, 1955, and died on November the 10th, in 2005. So unfortunately, the gentleman did pass away, not before leaving a legacy as being one of the best dancers, ballet dancers that there ever was, ever. They give this man, all the interviews, everything that I looked into, they give this man some of the best praises, not only as a dancer, but as somebody that was just a very kind person, like the embodiment of just being generous, humble, everything in between. So I don't watch ballet. I never watched, maybe a little bit of maybe a movie here and there, little clips, but I never watched it, never been interested in going. So I did watch one of his videos, right? Just to get acquainted with like what he did, what are they talking about. So have you ever had a sense from somebody that really knows what they're doing? Like you look at like a basketball player, like a Michael Jordan, and you're like, they know what they're doing. Like, you have no doubt that they know what they're doing. Like, you can literally have, without even looking at them, they give you the sense of confidence, even to the TV, that they know what they're doing, what they're doing. So when I was watching Fernando Bujones do his thing, it was just like so smooth and so like so smooth with it. The turns he did, he felt like he was a feather. He was so light that the way that he did his turns, I don't even know the right terminology as far as what he did. But he did this amazing, beautiful dancing that you can tell. And for whatever reason, you don't understand what he was doing. You felt the classical music and you felt this, whatever message he was trying to convey to you. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful to watch a gentleman, a man, a ballet dancer doing his thing and just being able to be like, wow, I can see why people really give him all this credit for being one of the best dancers that there was. Fernando Bujones was an American dancer. Okay, so he was born in Florida, but his parents are Cuban. So in a vacation that his parents took over, they're visiting some relatives in Florida, and he was born there during this time, so he makes him an American. But his parents, both of his parents, were Cuban. So it's another Cubano, and he's another Latin factor. Bujones is credited as one of the best in the 20th century, as well as his generation, as far as being one of the best ballet dancers. Fernando Bujones was married to 2 women in the course of his life. One of them was, and excuse the name because it's a little difficult. His first marriage was Marcia Kubitschek in 1980. And they did have a daughter. She was actually the daughter of Brazilian President Juscelino Kubitschek. I'm sorry, bro. I'm messing it up big time. Juscelino Kubitschek de Oliveira. He was the president at the time. He married the ballet dancer Fernando, married the daughter of this man. They brought forth a daughter. Her name was Alejandra. And then his second marriage, he married to Maria Arnillas, also a dancer, and she was actually a native of Peru. See the beautiful things we do whenever we get together as far as cultures and, even make babies, beautiful Cuban and Peruvian babies. Like my homie over here, Mexican, Salvadorian. We make some beautiful babies. I'm just saying. It's okay. We're just people. Again, we're just trying to relate to you here in the Latin Factor. Not only that we do the things certain ways the way we do it, but at the same time, we just people, just striving to be happy in this place, striving to be the best that we can, doing our own part, taking care of our families, and not being better than anybody else, not better than anybody, just here to participate as far as humans. And again, he was born, and as I mentioned earlier, in Florida, and he grew up in Cuba. And give me 1 second here. So he started classes very early, and his mother, after she separated from her father, began to practice, and he began to get involved in it. And early on, in his childhood, he already knew he was going to be, something special as far as dancing. After settling in Miami, Fernando Bujones managed to win a scholarship in 1967 to the office and prestige of the New York Ballet School of American Ballet. So again, all these certain things I'm not very familiar with as far as ballet, but it doesn't take away that he is Latino. And in the world of ballet, they made a movie about this man because to them felt like he was so accomplished, and they needed to go ahead and relay his message as far as who he was, what he did, and what he contributed. And he not only being a dancer, but he went on and coach, and then just watching him in action, coaching. After his prime was over and not dancing anymore, then he goes on and teach the way that easily you can just be on your way after you done what you done. You did your part, you danced off, you did what you did, and then after that you'll be on your way. You know what? So it's okay, I'm done. What was the reason for it? But no, he had a really passion for it, because later on he continued to teach, and many years later, he continued to work. But doing his craft, though, he worked really hard, and he was passionate about what he do. He was chosen as a representative, but also bagged a gold medal in the international ballet competition held in Berna, Bulgaria in 1974. Aside from that, he was also awarded a special medal for attending the highest technical achievement due to his performance. Again, I don't know much about ballet. Again, I really don't. But when you watch this man do the things that he did, as far as the way he was doing it, it's so fluent, so crisp, so again, it's like he was flying on the dance floor, smooth, doing whatever the things that he did. And everybody noticed that the things that he was doing compared to everybody else, it was just a special person doing this, Besides, everything that he accomplished, numerous awards. Besides being a renowned dancer, Fernando Bujones also served as an artistic director to several dance companies, such as the Ballet in Mississippi in 1993, until it folded, and the Orlando Ballet. He also collaborated in the international level. So not only was he here in the States a figure of ballet, but internationally, we talking about Mexico, Spain, and Brazil. He was also somebody that worked passionately about carrying ballet and what he knew. Instead of keeping it to himself and not showing everybody what he knew, he continued to work and contribute to do what he did. He was diagnosed with lung cancer before his death, but Bujones died in, as I mentioned earlier, 2005 at the age of 50 from suffering from complications of metastastic melanoma. Before his death, he managed to finish his autobiography entitled, so if you're more interested in knowing more about him, his autobiography is called Fernando Bujones, an autobiography. You can check that out and get more of an idea. If you never heard of this Latino dancer, if you're into dancing, if you haven't seen anybody that you feel like is a dancer too, that could like maybe influence you or motivate you, or like no, I don't know any ballet dancers, Latinos, so I'm not gonna do it. Like there is Fernando Bujones that did his thing and has his own autobiography. And if you go look at it, it might inspire you to do, because there's actually dancers, not just reggaetoneros, not just break dancers, not just everything else, but actual classic ballet dancers, which you can, if it's something that you like, can go and look and see the things that we have contributed as far as being a Latino in ballet. A lot of, I mean, again, maybe I'm generalizing as far as, but I don't think a lot of Latinos know much about or care to know about ballet. But there is a group and people that do care about this. And one of us Latinos, our people, our gente, was one of the contributors to being considered one of the best that ever done it. That's another one. So again, the final thought on this one is that it just because we just don't know about a certain subject, right? Like myself, ballet, but that doesn't mean we can't appreciate certain things that other people do that we might not understand fully, but it doesn't mean we can't be open-minded to look at what they did. And then again, when I looked at this man doing whatever performance he was doing, it was like, you get that sense, the reason why a lot of people give him so much credit and praise him so much as far as the things he did as a Latino, a Cubano, because he really was passionate about what he did. And it's another area that we contribute that we might have even forgotten, never mentioned, never heard about it. But Fernando Bujones was a Latino that shaped and most likely influenced a lot of the ballet that happens to this day. All right. So remember, again, we're just the spice in this global melting pot that we call the world. We're just here to participate. And that's all we are, a person just like you. See you on the next episode. This is the Global Latin Factor. I'm your host, Crispin Valentin. Until the next one. Todos en este país.